Pike's pushed more and far enough ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Coming down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Look at Tyson! Haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the iGPFun F3 League for the penultimate round of the championship in 2023. This is season 4 of course, and we are just 2 rounds away from knowing the champion of another great season in this league. Laguna Seca, the venue of which we settled the title fight last season. Kenzie Newhoff at that point accumulating enough points so that he couldn't be caught by the likes of Connor Gibb. Towards the end of Season 3 in 2023, he was able to go to the finale without any worries of a championship fight. I can't imagine that anyone is going to be having won the championship by this point in the season this time around, though, because it is still very close, as we will get to very shortly. But for now, let's introduce you to ourselves. I'm Ewan O'Leary alongside Team Biggles, and we will take you through the race here this evening. Let's have a look at those championship standings then. And these are the overall points, by the way, so it's a bit difficult to really read anything into this at this point because there's only 2 rounds to go. And, of course, 2 drop weeks will be taken from these scores. But Max Bartolotta has the most ahead of Antonio Jimenez and Kenzie Newhoff, who would be switched around. In fact, when you apply the drop weeks, Newhoff and Bartolotta are only separated by 5 points, albeit still in the favour of the Italian. Luca Verani and Robert Ridgway are in the top 5 in total points. Then Greg Seitz is the first driver with less than 300. He's not far ahead of Pedro Suarez, Adam Townsmer or Chuck Morrow. Connor Gibb rounds out the top 10 but gains quite a few places if you apply drop weeks. I think he gains 6th or 7th or around there. Andy Flint is just outside the top 10 with Evan Way in 12th. Then Evan Zura has made a good performance this season. Edwin Amos and Christian Glamsey round out the top 15, just ahead of Samu Hermer and Shaq Willems. They're the last drivers to have more than 200. Then it's Stuart Milne, Ben Goet and Marek Zotlov's the top 20. So those are your championship standings, but as I say, 2 drop weeks will be applied. So Max Bartolotta is leading the standings by 5 points ahead of Kenzie Newhoff. Then it's Tony Jimenez, who is 21 points back and needs to gain quite a few today if he wants to be involved in the championship finale in 1 week's time. Luca Verani is 26 points back with Greg Seitz. Now, 34 points back, and that means it is possible for him to win the championship, but it's unlikely, let's say, here at this stage. Let's welcome in Biggles then, who will be alongside me this evening. Welcome back to the iGPFun F3 League, Biggles. It's good to have you with us again. As I reminded you before the broadcast, although you couldn't remember, which is fine. We were here for the Laguna Seca race last season as well, where Kenzie North took a championship, but it's going to be very difficult for him to seal the title here tonight.
When you get to my age, my friend, you're allowed to forget a few things every once in a while, but yeah, it's... Well, we have a stacked grid. I think almost 50, 49. Come on, one more driver, please. Let's hit the 50 mark. Half a century as we're getting down to the dying stages of this championship. And on top of that, you'll get those results as they're finishing up their qualifying in just shy of a minute. But I think I was speaking to you in the green room that this is probably the first time in my career of casting that I've seen 30 drivers separated by 1 second, Ewan. Isn't that crazy?
Doesn't happen very often, and Nick Carty, the final of those 30, by the way, we do have indeed have 30 within a second. Remarkable once again, but exactly what you'd expect from the iGPFun F3 League. It's been like this for quite some time, and it keeps on happening again and again, albeit short laps around here, just around 74 seconds around Laguna Seca in these Formula 3 cars. And nobody able to break into the 113s actually, and they were quite close to doing so. The top three all covered by just 200ths of a second as well, which is very interesting to note. And with the positions of the championship favourites are also very important to note, I guess, at the end of this qualifying session, with Max Bartolot leading the standings, but he's a long way behind Kenzie Newhoff as things stand in this race. He'll look to gain some positions throughout the actual racing, as he did at Belle 1 week ago. Let's have a look, though, at that grid. And it is Thiago Marteau who leads the way ahead of Kenzie Newhoff, and then Samu Herma. 200 separating the top three. Tony Jimenez is on row 2 as well, ahead of Andy Flint and Will McIntyre-Jones. Then it's Clark Williams and Evan Way. Timo Milikangis, who really shot up those standings throughout that qualifying session, is 9th ahead of Sebastian Gravland. Benjamin Fergerio and Aaron Smith round out the top 12. Then it's Luca Veroni and Andrea Catta, with Max Bortolotta down in 15th. He's going to need to gain some places. He's alongside Ivan Van Hoek in 16th. Then it's Eddie Amos and Pedro Suarez, with Chuck Morrow and Andrei Wiskowski rounding out the top 20. Adam Townsend and Richard Wedstead on row 11, ahead of Zoltan Zamota and Robert Ridgway. That's row 12. Then row 13. It starts off with 25th placed Stephen Ridders, Vladislav Potapenko alongside him, with Koji Ito and Ivan Zura now next. Alex Hopkins and Nick Carty round out those within a second in the top 30. Stuart Milne and Ben Goyette are on row 16, ahead of Giovanni Solito and Chris Stewart. Mike Zotlovs is alongside Dennis Cornu on row 18, ahead of John McKenzie and Rena Scatini. Reed Dennis and Matthew Gracie round out an All-American row 20. Martin Devine is in 41st, ahead of Oscar Artinano. Then it is Chris Georgiandelis with James Rush alongside him. Kevin Zwemstra making a return to the iGPFun F3 League in 43rd. George Kelstrup, Michael Volkering, Marcelo Kessler and Philip Lucas to round the 49 that are in the session, but I'm slightly concerned that those back 2 rows won't actually be joining us, because they are not currently on the grid. And there's not very long to go. They've got about 10 seconds to do so. So I'm not particularly hopeful. I think we're going to get 45, 44 start this race. Looks like 45. And the back 4 look like they're not going to be getting things underway. But the rest of them are. A 45-car grid here at Laguna Seca for the penultimate round of the iGPFun F3 League. It's time for the penultimate race of the season. And we are underway. Samuel Herman with a good start. And that is not going to be great news for Kenzie Newhoff. No active overtaking in towards turn 1, of course, but that doesn't mean that you can't slip your way through if the situation arises. It hasn't, though, for that top 3. Newhoff goes wide. Herman very nearly taking advantage of that, but is a bit nervous too with the rules around the opening couple of corners. Now they'll file their way into the second turn as well. It looks everything at single file. Good starts from everybody, and we've made it through cleanly. We'll be properly racing as well. Thiago Marteau has converted pole position into an early lead as Chuck Morrow and Adam Townsmer go off the road along with Robert Ridgway, Stephen Ridders. It's a North American tangle at turn 3, I'm afraid, with loads of cars ending up off the road.
And that's what you would expect, obviously, of a stacked grid already at the moment there, but so far so good Couple of positions lost and gained. Really inside the top 15 at the moment. There only just a couple of switcheroos, but yes, further back, a lot of gains and a lot of loot, a lot of drops as go through the carousel. Love that. These cars were going airborne through there during practice session, but I think they're going to take a little bit more easier during the race.
Yeah, it's probably not. It's probably a advisable thing to keep your wheels on the ground at all times, but just a suggestion. Out of the final corner they go for the first time then. It's 38 laps around here this evening. As I mentioned, just 1 minute 15s or so in terms of lap times, although this will be up into the 123s because we are starting the race, of course. Now down in towards turn 1. Timo Milikangis is going to look up ahead and see Clark Williams trying to make his way around the outside of Will McIntyre-Jones. That doesn't happen, and he can't make his way through right round the outside. It's a very long way round, and he is not able to make it stick. So a single file on the second lap of the race. We'll go back and look at some of the things that happened on lap 1, of course, a little bit later on. But it's been a good start from that top 3. No positions changed there, and not many inside the top 15. It's outside of that where we've seen a lot of positions gained. The likes of Stuart Milne gaining 8 places in just 1 lap.
Well, and then they've got a bit of time to get it all done, no doubt, in a very, very adventurous race. The top 3, I mean, obviously, look at that. Well, the very Dutch driver that we did, and we can tell he's Dutch, of course. He's got Netherlands on the side there. We hadn't even seen him. He was not even in the championship here, but obviously when he drives, he's driving very, very well there. He's almost got a big 1.3 second gap, so just certainly a class of his own. He's got 7.1k I rating. Up on the inside there from Samuel. Sends a dummy, but Kensley has closed the door, and they both live to fight another day here.
Well, that was close. Not really very convinced of that move as Aaron Smith now looks to make his way into the top 10. Evan Way on the outside here. As further up, they're going to stay single file. Aaron Smith certainly doesn't. He goes down the inside and goes into 10th place. Into that hairpin, the first corner of the circuit, the Andretti hairpin. It's gone wrong road for Max Bartolotta. He's off the road, the championship leader. Off the road down at turn 1. There's a spin as well from Pedro Suarez by the looks of things. And Max Bartolotta has gone into contact. How damaged is his car is the question that we'll have to ask as well at this point, because he's a long way back already compared to Kenji North, and now he's been caught up in an early incident as well.
That's big. That was huge. I was just switching back there at the moment because I thought there was a pack starting to brew. When you start to see zeros on the intervals, you know that they're side by side. This is very unfortunate for Max, but he looks like he's still putting in the right direction. That's very, very important, of course. We all know that Max has charged her way back through the field. He looks like he's got some pace there, doesn't it, for the 157 Italian?
He does. He looks pretty quick, but don't forget, his drop weeks mean that he actually can't lose any more than 7 points to Kenzie North. Even if Kenzie wins, it's only 7 points that he gain. There's the contact. I think it's Pedro Suarez, isn't it, on the inside? Not sure, but it was 3 wide, and it didn't quite fit into the Andretti hairpin. Benjamin Fregerio is into the pit lane from 14th, so Potapenko and Bartolotta will both gain places, and Bartolotta's going to want one more as well. Down the inside he goes into 14th position now, which is a good place to be, but unless he finishes higher than what he did last week at Belle Isle, where he was only 8th, then this race will become a drop round. He needs to be inside the top 8 if he wants this race to count towards his points.
Of course, another driver at the moment that you said, Tony, here, Ahimes, for the DriveX esports team, has all been bunched up at the moment. Andy Flint, currently 13, he's the number 13, and gained 1 place there at the moment. And he's starting to pull a little bit away alone, but there it is there. So Mr. Tony's got a group of those cars all bunching up behind him currently in the moment. Practically started where they are, apart from the finish driver. And look at this. So, do not look away. Didn't I use my commentator's curse before the past? Let's not use it so early here at the moment as we're seeing the battle between the Scandinavian drivers, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Sebastian Graveland down the inside of Timo Milikangis here. It's outside for Milikangis, and he should find this pretty difficult, I would imagine. Graveland with a nice dive down the inside at the final corner, which has got into position. Aaron Smith is the one in the red just behind as well in this line. It's Tony Jimenez at the front of the group, though, as there goes Bartolotta again. Just this time on the defensive from Vyacheslav Potapenko, who's trying to make his way through. And there's a bit of a train forming behind the championship leader right now as well.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And it's obviously good to see a Ukrainian driver on the grid. And I used to cast another league of the Ukrainian driver. We have one in here at the moment, so fantastic. And well, he got almost every nation on the planet apart from an Australian in here. I'm very surprised. But then again, you have one up in the casting booth. Here we are. So lap 5, plenty of racing action to go. Through the carousel they all go.
Well, you say that, by the way. We did have an Australian win the championship back in season 2 of 2023. But I don't think you did any races back then, so you won't have seen Lee Aberdeen take the title back then. But it's a difficult time in the morning for those who are living in Australia, which is probably contributes to the fact that we don't see very many
What about
on
the
the grid.
Japanese driver at the moment, my friend? It's the same time zone.
That's true.
Here we go.
Roughly, well, it's even less ideal because I think Japan is slightly not quite as far in front as some of Australia is, at least, if not all. So yeah, it's even less ideal. But fair play to Kojito, who's here week after week, and he's on the grid once again this evening in the 2500 category. By the way, he's P6 in that class. Currently leading the championship there is John McKenzie ahead of Stuart Milne. That is the points for the 2500 category that we also run here in the iGPFun F3 League. We also have a teams championship, of course, that has the Hydro Race Racing Forces leading the way there. They are about 86 points ahead of their nearest rivals, so that is a pretty nailed-on victory for Kenzie Neuhoff and Pedro Suarez in the teams championship. All the drivers' championships, though, still very much unsettled, and these battles are defining those championship fights now as well. Here goes Sebastian Graveland down the inside. It's becoming his favourite move as he makes his way up to 8th, and 7th, excuse me. There was slight contact as Clark Williams was Will McIntyre-Jones was pushed off the road there, and now Clark Williams is going to take advantage, so will Aaron Smith. This is a disaster for Will McIntyre-Jones, who's shoved to the outside by Graveland. Now Williams is through. Aaron Smith looking to go through now on the inside as well. He'll have the outside for the next turn. This is turn 3. He's pushed out wide though, and so can't quite do it on that occasion. Will McIntyre-Jones is not going to be pleased about that last exchange.
I'm loving Will's actually livery at the moment. I'm looking at that at the moment, right? If I was looking at a race driver, focusing on it for the Austrian just up the road there. We saw the action, didn't we, before, with Max getting involved, the 3 cars into one corner. Somehow these drivers managed to escape that. Good wheel-to-wheel action.
Yeah, it's good racing in the lower part of the top 10. This is what we normally see, really. It's rarely for the top positions as side by side further back. This is no longer the battle involving Bartolotta. He's got away from this, but it's Vaclav Potapenko who's really struggling. He gained a lot of places off at the start, but I think it's put him into a part of the standings where he's not so comfortable really, and he's only 19th, and I would imagine will be outside the top 20 pretty quickly. Stuart Milne looking for his way through at the moment as we come towards the end of another lap. This is the end of lap 7 for these drivers, still at 31 at the end of this one, by the way, just to keep you informed. So yeah, still a long way to go as we have a look at a replay of Zoltan Zamotto, who's got nobody around him at all. He still brakes very late and spins into turn 2.
And very lucky he's out by himself, really running at the back of the field there. So that'll come into play a little bit later on, of course, because once this pack starts catching the back markers, and they are starting to do that right now, you can see on the track map, they're approaching some lap cars, 40. So we did end up getting 40, actually, believe it or not. You can see on that track map there.
Graveland!
Oh, yes.
Graveland's gone off, and Clark Williams and Will McIntyre-Jones both go through. Now Timo Milikangis has gone through on Aaron Smith. I wonder whether that was a similar incident as well, because the left-hander at turn 6 is a very, very difficult one indeed. And Graveland has got into the gravel, I'm afraid, or the sand. I wanted to make the joke work.
It lifted.
Really.
It lifted, yeah,
didn't it? Just on the curb. Just up on the curb, and that's how he was sent out wide, and it's cost him 2 places.
After all that battling as well, too. It's so frustrating for the drivers, isn't it? But that's what you get for motor racing. You are a bit of a gambler at a certain point as well, too. So, you know, you've got to take a risk, maximum reward sometimes, and also, well, sometimes, you know, it is lucky to get coal in your stocking rather than something sweet, let's say, for Christmas coming. I'm too early. Wait a couple more days, then I'll get the Christmas puns out.
November.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's still November. Just A week's time, we'll bring the Christmas ones out maybe. As Timo Milakangis is bringing out the overtakes here. Evan Way pushed to the outside, and Milakangis is up to 9th now. That's Evan Way passing Aaron Smith, I should say. Luca Varani is in the famous yellow and purple, just in behind as well. This is the battle for 10th place. Milakangis is ahead of all of this. That's very close on the way towards the corkscrew, not ideal. And Varani has just backed off a little bit, given Aaron Smith a bit of space in front, and maybe that's a good idea, really.
I guess who's back down the road there too, the other Italian. So there's Max. He's got Andrea up here, but Andrea's in the mount of this.
Oh.
What's happened? We've had
it's Aaron Smith into the pit lane. Down the inside goes Andrea Kata into the final corner as well. There's Aaron Smith. Not sure why he's come down pit lane actually, but Luca Varani now is going to look for that position back through once again. He's on the inside through turn 1, flat out over the crest of course. Now into turn 2, the first braking zone of the day. And it is Luca Varani who gets the position as well. Up to 11th he goes. And he's making progress as he so often does in these races. He's just making up positions one by one, and into 11th he goes now.
Good job there. Absolutely textbook overtaking done. So the Swiss driver of Luca he's going to hang with him actually. Maybe another opportunity. I'm just wondering whether or not that's going to bring Max into play. Max is further down the road there, 3.7. There, you could just see him in your pictures. So he's going to be hunting this pack down. I was going to wonder. Evan Way, of course, is Canadian. I was going to wonder whether or not, well, here it is, if Andrea was there in front, isn't it? He would have been able to slow Luca down, if they are going to work as nationalities, of course. Further back at the field, but we do have another battle brewing for your P6 positions, as the British driver of Mr. Williams has to hold up both of these Scandinavian drivers, pouncing down his gearbox.
That's Clark Williams, Will McIntyre Jones and Sebastian Graveland, who are all in this battle at the moment, and it's outside line for Clark Williams as he tries to go right round the outside. Will McIntyre Jones as he tries to go right round the outside of Clark Williams. That has not happened on this occasion. We'll run on board with Sebastian Graveland, who's just watching on, looking at this battle and seeing where he can go in relation to these two. Where can he pick up the pieces from this just up in front of him? We're currently, by the way, on lap number 11 of this race, and Sebastian Graveland is in the sand, I'm afraid. Very, very wide, and he's going to have to gain that time back all over again.
Called it. There's your lap counter at the moment that you want to do. Apologise about that. I have 50, almost 50 drivers to go through. Lots of incidents and reports. That's why we're about to show too many of the other action that's happening down the field. Of course, unless it does spread out, which it has in the top 6 to 5. They're kind of very comfortable. You have to say, the two Dutch drivers are just dominating at the moment. They must have got the call from Max Verstappen. So yes, look at that. Fastest lap 2 set for the 22 machine. Just cruising on by. Although he's not in the championship hunt. But he can definitely, like anything, isn't it? The other drivers on it. We're getting another flash here from the Brazilian driver too. So if you see that blinking there and the camera can't catch up, that's basically the internet connection between themselves and the server is having a little bit of a trickiness situation, and hopefully it sorts us out. Of course, with so many drivers, isn't it? One or two at least going to have those issues. Let's just hope it doesn't happen when you're in an overtaking position.
Yeah, it's going to hope so. Max Bortolotta still struggling with this circuit. I think down in 13th, and as things stand, Kenzie Newhoff would take the championship lead by just 1 point going into the final round of the season. He has been in that position before, of course. In the last championship that he was very close to, or the last championship he didn't win, which was season 2 of 2023, he came into that race with a 1 point advantage over Lee Aberdeen, who then beat him by 1 position in that last race and won the championship on races won. Not on points, but on races won, because they were tied on points after 12 rounds. This is Andrea Kata, who's gone for a very near accident, but he's done quite well to save it. That was a short trip towards the sand, and Max Bortolotta will be still behind his compatriot there in that situation. As we go back to some positions outside the top 20, these guys are battling it out. Dennis Cornu and Reed Dennis, I think, going side by side. Is there a lap car involved here? There is. Robert Ridgway getting involved. He's 40th after incidents early on lap 1.
Yeah, it's unusual because Robert, obviously, we do cast him for the Super Formulas on here on the JP Broadcasting Network, and he's very quick in those machines. it's probably a little bit difficult for him these days, isn't it, to adjust back, and there is another little bit of a blinking thing. This is going to really start frustrating one of the drivers. I can't remember who it is. I think it's Andre here that is having a little bit of an internet connection issue between the Brazilian driver and the server, and that's maybe the reason why could have been an overtake there. Once it gets very difficult for the other drivers to be able to spot where the car is and to get the overtake done. Further up at the field there still, this is it. So Luca, what's happened here? Somebody look through race control. Didn't see anything here, but what happened with Luca?
Oh, he's still sat there waiting. He's just waiting for his chance. He's got Timo Milakangis in front. He's just been overtaken by Evan Way in the sort of light blue. You can see in front, and so Milakangis severely on the way back. Luca Varani going to look to make that worse. Unfortunately for the Finnish driver, he's going to try and make his way through. As we're about a third of the way through this race already. It's flying by very, very quickly indeed. As we see every week, really. They're relatively long races for F3 cars, but very entertaining. And they do indeed fly by. What an entertaining season we're having. Yeah, it does look like Wisconsin's having a few internet problems, doesn't it?
Huge problems at the moment there, and that's going to be very, very frustrating for the other drivers. Now, of course, you don't never want to say, it's very difficult, race control and stuff like that. You never want to say to a driver, look, you've got to pull over or take a pit stop or doing something like to try to get something happening and get back out there, because when it's happening like that so much, and then again, he's dropped back a little bit, so hopefully that's okay. Maybe he probably allowed, and I would say that too, if you're being told by your control or your spotter, hey, you're having some problems, then you leave those battles be, drop a couple places and continue on your race as best you can. That's all you can really do, because you got to think about others as well. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works.
Yeah, certainly. It's one of the things you always have to contend with. Aaron Smith's a long way back now, of course, after issues earlier on. He visited the pit lane, of course. Now back to 20th, having overtaken Nick Carty. He's the highest placed driver, by the way, Aaron Smith, to have taken a pit stop so far. Will have taken his fast repair there, and he's back out on the circuit into the top 20. We saw this with Greg Seitz last week, for example. You can still make up positions, and was it Jimenez as well? Who was? No, maybe not. But someone else was into the pit lane, still managed to finish inside the top 15-20. Maybe it was Evan Way, I can't remember, but we do see it from time to time. Some good results nevertheless with those pit stops made throughout the day. There is Ivan Zura now, still looking for his way through on Koji Ito. It's just up in front at the moment, 6th place in the 2500 standings at the moment, a subcategory of course of the drivers' standings overall that we have each week. Edward Amos is just the one up in front as well in this battle for 14th position, and this has been a position that's been very widely fought over so far in this race. For whatever reason, the midfield has stayed very close together.
Yeah, two battles in every way there, and the Finnish driver. Oof, love the carousel, it's so fantastic. It's like a roller coaster ride. You're riding a border course with these drivers, these F3 machines. They're feeling it because they're very light. They get very airborne. You saw that when they hit the chicane as well too. They start to just get a little bit of a, and then of course when it comes back down onto the ground, it depends on what direction that your steering is pointing and the momentum of the machine and everything like that. And then they have to try to struggle to keep it on the track and out of the fence. Some drivers have been have been doing it, of course. And other drivers have not. Well, we haven't had major accidents really at the end of the day. I was just starting to see Samuel here. Now, these top three are in the same top three positions that they started the race with, 22, the 1 and the 4. But of late, Samuel Hermer is starting to creep in the other Dutch driver of Kenzie, and that's going to be important of us in the championship, isn't it? Because Kenzie needs all these points, considering Max is down there in P13.
Yep, if Hermer got through and Nuhoff, then the two would be tied going into the final race. Bartolotta and Nuhoff, that is. Samuel Hermer's a long way back in the championship, won't be getting involved, even though he's performed really well actually in the second half of the season. He didn't do very many races in the first half, which is really stripped him there. Not even 2 drop weeks can save him from that and get him towards the top end of the championship. So it's going to be about Nuhoff and Bartolotta. Can Tony Jimenez stay involved in the championship fight? Well, I don't think so. Unfortunately, he came in today 16 points behind Nuhoff in the standings. He's going to lose a few more and go back to 19 points behind Nuoff, who can only lose 10 to Jimenez on one particular day. So at the moment it will be about those two and those two only. A two-horse race going into the finale if things stay as they are, and I can't see things changing to allow Jimenez to be involved in that title fight in 1 week's time. But let's wait and see. We go back to 9th place with Evan Way, Timo Milakangis and Luca Verani. There's been no positional changes here, really. It's been single file for pretty much the entire time we've been following this battle.
There's been a big moment back here. This is with Aaron Smith. They've come together, look. Big accident. I'm just wondering if anybody else has come back on track. That's at the pit lane entrance as well. Oh, they've hit each other again. Oh, there's beef there. There's beef there. Because you can clearly see that was a clear turn-in, wasn't it? There was no intention for that. I don't know if you want to see it again and judge that. I don't know. I've seen that a couple of times. But you're always going to get beef with so many drivers, aren't you? And really in a grid. And this is
I think they're going to land themselves in a bit of trouble, though. That's Andy Flint, who just went a little bit wide. They're going to land themselves in a bit of trouble, I would imagine. No penalties come through from last race yet, so that will all be sorted before the finale, you would imagine. So nothing to report there yet, but there will probably be stuff to report from this race. But I would imagine it's Andy Flint again. It was just on a few moments ago.
That was
just running a little bit wide. This is the moment with Aaron Smith, whose entire front end disintegrates entirely. And this is how he was down the inside at the rainy curve, or the one after the rainy curve, I should say, at turn 10.
But look when he comes
and unfortunately,
back,
he does get turned in on at the second to last corner, and then he'll get himself into some trouble for that, I'm afraid.
That almost destroyed the other driver. You got to remember, too, the beef that they had together is one thing, but, you got to think about another poor driver that had nothing to do with this little beef that they had. Could have almost got taken out. So gentlemen out there, I understand the frustrations creep in, but do remember if your actions reflect on everybody else in the race. So you don't want to be turning a two-way beef into a three-way beef and so forth if you do destroy other drivers' races. So come on gentlemen, settle down. Don't make me come back there. If I have to come back there, really, it's going to be trouble.
Exactly, it's not good for those two. I think Aaron Smith, though, may well be out the race for the remainder as Timo Milakangis makes his way down the inside of Evan Way and was given all the space he could ever want on the inside of turn 2. And so Milakangis is back into 9th place again. Evan Way back to 10th. Luca Verani has been caught by Andrea Carter as well, who you can see in the background there. So there's 4 now for 9th place with Milakangis in that position. Wondered if he's going to be able to get away from the other 3 or whether he will now be the one defending for that position.
Andrew Carter has been putting them the laps, like fast laps. You saw it a little bit before. Our race leader has just taken the fastest lap back again, comfortably 2.8 second gap there over his Dutch nationality Netherlands driver behind him, and see the gap is actually 1.8 now. So Samuel's backed off a little bit from that battle, still sitting comfortable in P3. You got Williams putting a little bit of pressure on Jimenez. But there's still, I want to keep my eyes on this because I believe that Carter has really caught this one. But look how far back Max is from Carter. Max dropped off a little bit. Whoa, oversteer moment. He got the power down, didn't he? The rear end said no and had to correct it. Good job there for the Italian. But Max, I don't know what's happened. You wonder if Bartolini did get damaged because he's not matching the pace now. He's in the 15s. These guys are in the 15s.
Oh no! Oh, there's a spin in front of Milakangis who goes straight into one of the lap cars. It's Alex Hopkins who's gone for a spin at turn 2, and Milakangis has arrived on the scene. It's Alex Hopkins who's just got things wrong on the power there at turn 2, and he's been smashed into the side of. He's got damage. Milakangis definitely has now, and he's out back to the pit lane, is the Finnish driver. And what a shame that is. What an unfortunate moment for Milakangis to arrive on Alex Hopkins, stuck in the middle of the road in that situation. Here is the moment again. It's Hopkins into turn 2. He goes in deep. He goes for a spin. He tries to spin it back around, but instead accelerates straight onto the racing line and straight into Timo Milakangis.
That's unfortunate racing incident. Of course, the driver's just lost it there. He's coming around full speed, straight on the racing line. Bingo, nothing to do. It can go pole-shaped anyway. You can get the lucky dip, the lucky draw on that one. Work your way. If you could have just squeezed past it, it could have hit the driver behind. that is just unfortunate for motor racing. Can happen to anybody, including the race leaders at this point. So, yeah, you got to have razor sharp reaction. I don't even think he could even have done anything really. Did he have time? We'll probably go back in a second and have a look at the on-board. But I want to see the battle down here for the Scottish drivers actually here. I'm sorry, because we have 4 or 5 Scottish drivers on this grid here, so I was having a look at this one building up. 15th, 16th, and 17th. So, upon Scotland and the United States of America.
Yeah, it's Stuart Milne who's what we're riding on board with at the moment. Koji Ito is still ahead of Stuart Milne. These two have been fighting for, well, previously 16th a lot of this race, but with that crash for Timo Milikangas, he's now moved up a position into 15th again. Koji Ito making up a position there, as they all have. So, including Bartolotta, by the way, is 12th, but still a long way away from where he needs to be. This is the moment again for Milikangas. I mean, he'll be so frustrated with Alex Hopkins here for accelerating onto the racing line. You can see him go too deep, and the spin is fair enough.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
It's the acceleration to try and spin yourself back around again that Milikangas will be not very pleased about.
Yeah, he shouldn't have done that, should he? If you're going to crash, you stop, because you need to be predictable. It's as simple as that. You need to be predictable. Drivers need to see you and go, okay, you're there, I'll go left or go right. If you start moving, it becomes very difficult for anybody to predict that. So anyway, it's all in the rules and regulations of all the leagues really across the planet. Most of them that we have also broadcast here on the JP Broadcasting Network. You know that for a fact. Drivers know that for a fact, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, you just do something you're not really intending to do. Up on the inside there for the 49 machine on the Scot, and does he get it on the Japanese driver? Yes, he does. In fact, if the Japanese driver's not careful, Nick might sneak the 76 machine on the inside there. Are they struggling for tyres or grip? Why is some of the drivers backing off big time there now?
I wouldn't imagine they're really struggling at this point. I think Koji Ito just got really wide, and at turn 1 or any of the corners, really, there's a lot of sand on the outside, which you can really be held back by. Max Bartolotta has made a bit of a mistake here on this last lap as well. He's now, he's still 13th, or 12th, sorry, and this was it. It was into turn 6. He did well there to actually save the car entirely. He could have very easily found himself in the wall completely.
Good save, yeah, exactly. That could have been devastating, isn't it, for his championship hopes. But there is Luca, and these two again, isn't it? Andrea and Luca at it tooth and nail, because now Luca wants it back after the overtake earlier.
Just want to go back through again, but he still can't find a way through, and he's not really pushing to get through at the moment, and Kato is recently the one who's overtaken him, so I wonder whether Kato actually does have more speed than Luca Veroni at the moment, and whether he's going to get away with this 10th place pretty quickly.
Great racing. It's a difficult track to master and get it right. We saw that, look at that, even going a little bit wide there at the moment as we're on board the 222 machine of Luca trying to push. You can see the bumps, isn't it? It's almost like blind. A lot of it's blind. If you go on cockpit view, it's a lot 10 times. This is what the driver sees. So sees blind cornering, a lot of it. See, down the carousel, you know that for a fact. You just point that car in one direction, just hope it goes. It's as simple as that, because you can't see the corner until you're on it. Race leader putting another banker lap in. But Claire, well, you have to say Clark. Sorry, not Claire. I was going to say Claire Williams, because I'm thinking of the Williams racing team, isn't it? The daughter. It's Clark Williams, of course, the 98 machine. Now he's homing in on the Spaniard. And once again, this is crucial in the race championship standings. So let's see how it all pans out here.
It might be a new one for Clark Williams, actually. I don't know whether he's ever been called Claire before, but there we are. Happens. He's trying to get through into 5th position at the moment. Tony Jimenez, the one just up in front. As I mentioned, as of right now, Jimenez wouldn't be able to be a championship contender in the final round. He does need to gain some points over Kenzie Newhoff at the moment, even though he is gaining on Max Bartolotta right now in the championship standings. Bartolotta, by the way, as I mentioned, and I will repeat myself, needs to be inside the top 8 if this race is to count towards his score. If not, then he'll score 36 points from the race. That is 8th place equivalent. So he will score 8th place points, with Newhoff scoring 2nd place points. Newhoff will gain 6 and be the championship leader by 1 point heading into that final round at Watkins Glen in 1 week's time. New fastest lap from Thiago Marteau as the fuel load goes down. These drivers are getting quicker. It's Clark Williams getting into the top 5 though. He's very close on the way out of that final corner. He's looking for the inside. He won't get that. It'll be shoved to the outside by Tony Jimenez. But he's going to really use all of the road. Brake very, very late. Probably too late. Actually, went very wide. And Williams tries to go, tuck back under again and go to the outside for turn 3. That's not going to happen, and Jimenez hangs on.
Wow, the over and undercut there was trying to work out. Something goes a little bit totally well in the background. I think that was Jones there. But good work, good try, good attempt. It is difficult to overtake. Actually, look at that as well too. So Samuel in P3 has gained a ton of time. I guess there might have been a mistake. All traffic's at play. So 2 battles. This one's definitely brewing close and very important in the championship. Once again, all these points are very, very important. Wow. It ain't over yet till 14 laps until, well, so Barney waves that flag and you want to see that flag. And are we're not going to go, am I going to do that commentating curse of the year again?
Oh, well, I hope
our
not,
race leader,
because I felt bad for Sandstrom last week. I've got to say, I really did. But yes, it's Thiago Moto in that position this time, and hopefully we're not going to curse him on this occasion. Samuel Hermer gets closer to Kenzie Neuhoff and won't be able to find his way through here. Neuhoff needs to finish in second, of course, if he wants the championship lead, or first. He'd have an even bigger championship lead in that situation, but just a podium, just a third place won't be good enough for the championship lead. He will be tied on points with Max Bartolotta, and since Bartolotta has won 3 races so far this season and Neuhoff has only won 1, and Bartolotta would keep the championship lead. That's worth remembering, I guess, going into that final round next week, that if they're tied on points at the end of the season, Bartolotta will win on races won.
Yeah, so this is why it's crucial here at the moment for him to defend this charge at the moment from Samuel, because you don't want to go down to that situation, of course, like in Formula 1 as well too, isn't it, by 1 point the separating championship between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. It can come down to that in the wire, and then you got to look back at those races sometimes, don't you? If you could throughout the season, and then you go, oh, geez, if I only had 1 more position, just 1 more spot, I would have made it a lot easier for myself in the championship. So these are the ones that they're probably thinking about right now. Somebody's had a little bit of a moment. There are
Richard Wedstead, that was.
Yeah, a lot of traffic. Oh, you know what's even probably a bit more scary, I'd have to say? Look at the track map. They have Andrea Wiskowski, which is the one that's actually blinking a lot. The one that the Brazilian driver that's having a lot of issues with the internet connection. So I do hope that he gets completely out of the way, because you don't want to be approaching a car that's on and off visibility in the last dying stages of this race at all to go.
Yeah, that was John McKenzie who just got out the way to the left-hand side. Then it would be Benger, then it would be Wiskowski in the 24th position. He's just behind Dennis Cornu in a fight for 23rd. Not so far in front of these guys, and I think they will catch them before the end here as well. So that is not good news for them particularly. Will McIntyre-Jones still close to Clark Williams there for 6th position as well. So Williams has gone less on the attack from Jimenez, and he's more on the defence now from McIntyre-Jones. Luca Veroni still trailing Andrea Catta, but he's not likely to go for any move in the near future as John McKenzie goes off at the corkscrew. Andy Flint will go through, and that'll be one of the easier lapping manoeuvres that he's done today.
Yeah, you called that one. John's gone off the track there. Can we get some of the... Yeah, John McKenzie keeps going off the track a lot. But we want to keep an eye on this crucial battle, as you can see. So, Jimenez has now got Williams, and John in that field there. McIntyre, John, Will in P7. So they're starting to catch. You still have Luca on the back there of Andrea. 11 to go. Now, this is when the elbows may start to come out a little bit more.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's final 10 laps at the end of this one, so if there's ever a time to go for it, then it's going to be coming up very shortly. That was a moment onto the sand as well for Samuel Hermer. Not an ideal place to be at all, but thankfully he's not gone off the road entirely, which is a positive. Now over the top of the hill and into the rainy curve, into the final couple of corners now as well. Turn 10 and then 11, the final hairpin if you like, onto the front straight. Will there be a way through now for Samu Hermit, I don't think the exit's good enough. Kenton York got a pretty good launch off of there, and there will be some lap cars to contend with now very soon as well. It'll be the battle between Wiskowski and Cornu. They'll have to go through next. Herman wants to be in front before they get there. He's not going to get the chance to as Newhoff defends into turn 2.
These lap cars are going to be big trouble, I think, for these drivers, because our race leaders dropped a ton of time. Look at that. It was over 6 seconds, down to 3.5 now. These two are battling. Usually you know for a fact that when two cars are battling behind you or ahead of you, it tends to slow them down together, but they're not. In fact, if anything, increasing leader. So I think because our race leader has started to engage in all those that traffic, he's had to back off a little bit just to play it safe. Now he's got 10 to go. And well, not break it up too much, but this is what's going to be interesting. These cars now are going to be approaching that very traffic. Let's see how they deal with it. Don't look away from your screens. I see screens, plural, that's right. 2 or more.
Yes. Couldn't do it on that occasion, Samu Hermer, so he's going to look for a different way through. Just to be in front at the moment is indeed Dennis Cornu. He's just been overtaken by Andrei Wiskowski for 23rd. That's late on the brakes for Samu Hermer, who gets quite close on the way into the final turn, but doesn't get the exit that he needs, and Kenton York certainly does. That's keeping him in second place at the moment.
I think it's that race leader because he cleared the traffic, now gets the fastest lap there. And he's back up a second. But look at this. Oh, this is what's dangerous. Look at the exit and entrance of that Dennis that you said, right? Up the road, the French driver, was it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
And he's quite a bit wide at turn 3 as well. I wonder if he's put off slightly by those behind. Now he gets out the way to the right-hand side. So he's let these two through, and he's let Wiskowski go as well, which is not great, I suppose, but you've got to do it when you're a lap car. Unfortunately, you do have to mind out for those who are on the lap ahead of yours.
I'm scared of Andre up the road here. I'm sorry, but I'm a little scared and concerned of Andre because they're approaching him, and he's the one that's been blinking. And you just do not hope that happens into a corner. It's a little bit different, of course, when they're racing at the same pace as them, but when you are in the blue flag conditions it gets through the carousel, that's what you don't want to be doing. Of course, remember here, Kensley's going for tooth and nail. He's going to be focusing ahead. He is like, I got to keep Samuel behind me here. I can't afford to lose this. This is a championship. This could come down to the wire. And remember, just on equal points at the end of the season on race wins. So he's got to maintain this P2 position with 8 to go.
Yeah, and if things stay as they are, a DNF from this situation, Newhoff would be pretty well. He would just about still be in championship contention, but he'd have to have a very long shot at winning it. Let's say, because he would. Oh, that's a big slide for Hermer.
Yep.
He may well be in the clear now, Kenton Newhoff, because Samuel Hermer has got things slightly wrong in the exit of turn 2. Spins up the rear tyres, and the gap's now 1.5 seconds.
I think he's safe to. Yep. I think at the moment he can probably back off a little bit under that pressure. Well maintained there. And at least you have to say for Samuel, good save. He had the gap. They had the gap down the road there, so you just got to eat your head down right now and say, okay, let's bring it home. He's got nothing to lose anyway. He started in P3. He is in P3, so he's still got a podium. He's still going to taste the bubbly stuff up there. Further back, we'll go to this battle that's been resuming course. Well, let's see if Clark can find it. It's so difficult. Somebody's had an off track.
Oh, it's Cornu.
Yep.
Dennis Cornu, who's gone off and he's dropped another place to Ben Goyette now. Let's see what happened to him through turn 6. Oh, he's missed the apex entirely there, and at 2 speed goes entirely around, and thankfully gets on the circuit back again quite nicely there actually. So instead of the racing line, everyone else has fouled through.
Oof. Now, good to see that. Now here it is, a last chance effort here for Clark Williams to gain 2 positions in this race and get P5. Oh, can Tony do something about it? As you said, Tony is crucial for championship points too for the Spaniard, isn't it? Currently in P5. He needs to get this position as much as possible. Max still down in P12. I don't think Max is going to do anything about that. It's a 12-second gap. Max is just not on the pace here this evening. Already got early damage. But he's in the 15 club. Yeah, around 15s, late 14s really, when these other drivers are doing, mid 14s. So yeah, I think he's just settled for 12th for the day. Bring the car home and see how it pans out for the next race.
Well, at the moment, Tony Jimenez is really in a battle for 3rd place in the championship with Luca Varani. Came into the day also with 5 points over Varani, and at the moment he's gaining 6. So 11-point advantage, and with his drop week as strong as it is, that means that he would guarantee himself 3rd. Unfortunately, it means he can't gain any places, but he also can't lose any, so I guess that's a positive in that respect. and he would be in third if the season were to end at the end of this one. He doesn't need to bother with the final round, but hopefully he does indeed come with us to that finale at Watkins Glen. Looking to hang on from Clark Williams at the moment in this 5th position, and that's Will McIntyre-Jones, who was very close behind, but he's lost a second again now, and he's no longer with them.
I have to give it to you see Samuel just put the banker lap in there. It's a 14.4, a 14.8 from Kenzie. So just like that, he's not giving up yet. He still has 6 laps to go. He's going to be back on to the gearbox again of the Dutch driver and put some pressure on. So, hey, get all hands off. He may have another shot at this. If he's continuing on the pace he is, you see 8 tenths, 7 tenths as well too. So we might have to switch back to that one soon. But, well, Clark Williams can't find a way. Cannot find a way around the Spanish driver for now. It's just, all I have to do, look at that, I'd have to say there, Ewan, it's just keep applying the pressure, force the driver up the road into a mistake if you have to. It is mind games, as well as it's just keep the car. Racing lines, who knows? Yeah, well, you do know. It's physical and mental.
Yeah, it is a very difficult place to be, as Clark Williams misses the apex at the penultimate corner there. And he doesn't actually lose heaps of time because of it, but it could have gone wrong. He's not got the run, I don't think, onto the front straight either. Is he close enough? Jimenez weaving around again. Varani is going to try and go through now, and Andrea Catra, he's been biding his time here, sitting and waiting, and now he might strike. Now Clark Williams might find his way through as well. Too far on the outside though through turn 2. He won't make his way past. Will Luca Varani? He's also looking on the outside, but no, same outcome in both battles.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant racing that we're having here on round 11. United States of America, with a lot of the United States of America drivers. Mr. Flint, of course, at the moment in P4, and a few of the other drivers all around the place. So you can see lots of dust kicked up everywhere. There's drivers eagerly at that track back there. They're approaching traffic too for now. All of those drivers are probably just getting off the racing line, don't want to be a part of that, don't want to get involved in these racing incidents with these other drivers that are battling for the championship hopes. As you can see, look at that down, 25, 26, 27, so on. There's action there.
Corner is being caught by everybody here. Chuck Morrow's behind, Mackenzie, Devine and Zamota as well. All in a line right behind that battle as well for 10th with Kata and Varani. But see what happens for 5th as well. Tony Jimenez still in this position, and with every lap that passes it looks more and more likely as if he's going to hang on to this place that he's held now for the entirety of the race.
Oh, there's a big crash here. Am I not mistaken here? What's happened to Carter? It's just, no, I think it's throwing me off because, no, he's lost it here.
Oh, it is an incident. He's gone round.
And Max has hit him.
Oh, Varani's hit him.
Luca Varani's hit him, yes.
Oh dear, and the front wing is off. What could a Luca Varani have done about this? Well, I'm going to imagine not very much, I'm afraid. The final corner, he's turning committed now.
Yeah,
where's Kata going to go? Oh, and there's big damage for Varani as well.
Yeah, they're looking.
Varani, they're both damaged and they're both still going.
They're trying to hang in.
Well, this is remarkable. And now the battle behind for 26th is coming through. Zoltan Zamota unlaps himself now, as does Mackenzie and Devine, who both make contact as well towards the next corner. Luca Varani might well just try and limp through these final 4 laps of the race because there's not very long to go.
This could actually be good for Max at the moment. He's going to catch them at a drastic rate. Look at that, because of the damage. So there it is. A P12 no longer. He's got to be careful not to hit him. You're from the same country, Varani. Gentlemen. At least if you're on different teams. Go ahead.
Varani hit straight into the wall, and surely he's not going to be able to continue on any further. I think Kato will be able to. He's just got no front downforce, so he'll limp home. I can't imagine it will be a top 10 for him. Max Bortolotta might well take that position over, but it's still not enough for this round to count.
Here comes the
Kenji
Austrian.
Neuhoff will still have a 1-point championship advantage even if he does get to 10th place.
Yeah, look at this. So Will's been slowly closing in on this. He's been like, come on, Clark. You've had 10, 15 laps to try to get past Tony. You haven't done it yet, so move on. Multi-20, multi-76 or something like that at this point. Get out of the way, give me a shot at him. Of course, there's going to be team orders like that from Clark Williams, but at the moment, there it is. So Will's caught him, but does he have enough time? 3 to go. I don't know. You're going to have to send some sort of send here, but this late in the championship, too many points are up for grabs. Too much risk.
There's 2 laps to go now as they go over the line again. Thiago Marto still leading the way and looks like he's going to take home a race win. Kenzie Neuhoff might well hang on to second, although Samu Hermer is catching again, and maybe there'll be one last battle there. I think Hermer might well run out of time though, because realistically there's less than 2.5 minutes remaining of the race, and when you put it like that, it puts into perspective just how little there is remaining in the race. There's Andy Flint, who we haven't seen much of today, but he's been on his own in 4th. And then there's the battle for 5th between Jimenez, Williams and McIntyre Jones as well. With every lap that passes, though, Jimenez is looking more secure in this position, and I think he is going to be able to take this one.
On top of it, Max got past Andrew, because you can see with the damage, that's there is Andrea. You can see, you got to hang in there, right? There's no point for a pit stop. You lose too much time. He has a gap there to Eddie, a little bit down the road there. That's 4 seconds. Eddie Amos is probably going to catch him, but just going to keep going, don't you? Really, I mean, just try to survive.
Yeah, well, he is trying to survive, but he's struggling to. Amos and Milne are probably both going to go through, actually. But Catter will still pick up 13th, I suppose, as Thiago Marto sets on to his final lap of the race. Max Bartolotto's inside the top 10, but it's still not enough. This would become a drop round as things stand in the race, and Neuhoff would lead the championship by a single point. There's Marto, 4.5 seconds out in the lead. He's just got one more lap to complete before he is a race winner again in the iGPFun F3 League.
Yep, you're absolutely right. He's kicking up the dust there. I mean, he was setting fastest laps before too. I don't think he has the overall fastest lap. I'll try to keep an eye on that one. Maybe he does. I think he stole that one back. But he's got a comfortable gap to this man, Kenzie. So, and there is, Samuel's been, well, I have to say, it's a bad name, but I'm going to say a pest, isn't he? He's been a pest to Kenzie, but that's good. A racing driver should be, because he's trying desperately to get past Kenzie. Kenzie put up a good fight. You have to give Samuel put up. Oh, no!
Oh, dear!
Oh, and Andy Flint's just around the corner as well. We'll have Andy get through there. Well, I think he might be safer now. There's Andy in the background.
And
no,
further
I'm
up
not
in
doing
front,
it again.
Thiago Marto is going to take the race win here at Laguna Seca. There he is, 4.5 seconds. No challenge to him here this afternoon, but Thiago Marto is a race winner again in the iGPFun F3 League. Kenzie Neuhoff will hang on from Samuel Hermer, who gave it everything to the end, but that slide out of the corkscrew means that he is going to finish 3rd, and Tony Jimenez will hang on to a top 5 to confirm himself 3rd place in the driver's standings this season, and so a well done to him. 38 laps complete here at Laguna Seca, and Sebastian Gravland actually had to hang on for Evan Way there at the end, surprisingly. There's Max Bartolotta, who is going to lose the championship lead as a result of this 10th place finish.
All came down to his qualifying at the end of the day, didn't it? Who spun in the final corner as well, too? That's not a place, that's Dennis. He moved off the racing line, thankfully. You don't want to be hitting a lapped car on the final corner of the final lap of the race. So there's Max, Eddie. How about this? How about this for the Scotsman? Stu, 19 positions gained inside the top 12. That is, you like that, don't you? I mean, position gains to me is like, it gives you an indication of how great you managed to survive all the action that's happened here this evening. Andrew Carter, Nick Carty, another, 16 positions gained. It's all listed up on your screen at the moment to see the gainers and losers. Win some, you lose some.
It's always great to see at the end of these races, because there's so many people in the races. It's fantastic to see the positions gained and lost, and the most will go to Stuart Milne in 12th with 19 places gained after his 31st place start. He very nearly got into the top 10 at the end there as well. But these are the results after 38 laps. Thiago Marto, the race winner, ahead of Kenzie Neuhoff and Samuel Hermer. Andy Flint and Tony Jimenez right out the top 5. Clark Williams and Will McIntyre Jones couldn't quite break into it. Sebastian Gravland and Evan Way came over the line together, with Max Bartolotta rounding out the top 10. Edward Amos missed out slightly ahead of Stuart Milne, who we just talked about. Andrea Catter limped home to 13th with no front wing. Nick Carty and Ivan Zuranau round out the top 15. 16th was Luca Varani, who dropped back as a result of that late crash as well. Chris Stewart was ahead of Koji Ito and Pedro Suarez, the final driver on the lead lap. Andrei Wyszkowski finished 1 lap down in 20th. Then it was Marek Zotlovs ahead of Matthew Gracie. Ben Goyet, Truk Moreau and Zoltan Zamota round out the top 25. 26th position was Martin Devine. Then it's John McKenzie, 2 Scotsmen in those couple of positions. Richard Wedstead was next ahead of Dennis Cornu, who spun on that last lap. Giovanni Solito, Václav Potapenko and Adam Townsend were the final drivers 1 lap down. Oscar Artignano finished a couple of laps down, with Chris George Andelis finishing in the 34th position, despite being 3 laps down. Timo Milikangas unfortunately retired after that crash at turn 2. Reed Dennis also retired pretty early on, along with Alex Hopkins, Robert Ridgway, Aaron Smith, Reno Scattini, Benjamin Fregerio and Stephen Ridders, and some of those further back, James Rush, Ivan Van Hook and Kevin Zwemster never really got going in the race, crashing very early on in the first 5 laps, all of them. And then the 4 at the bottom, George Kelstrup, Philip Lucas, Marcelo Kessler and Michael Volkering, all not starting tonight. So that is it for the iGPFun F3 League for the penultimate round. 1 point separates Nieuwhof and Bartolotta. It's gone in the favour of the Dutchman, though, as far as the championship standings are concerned here. Biggles, looking forward to the final race now in 1 week's time.
Yeah, and stay tuned. Hit the bells and notifications, of course, for 1 week's time. Thank you, everybody. It's been another fantastic broadcasting of the JP Broadcast Network for the Fun Formula 3 season. So stay tuned. Good night.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe for all the other racing that's going on as well. But for now, we will bid you our farewells. I've been Neil Lear alongside Tim Biggles, and until we see you in 1 week's time for the finale at Watkins Glen, it's goodbye for now.